Game on, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in to Box Score Radio. I'm your host, Jay Keaton. It is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019. It is good to be back. I'm finally back doing the podcast after a couple weeks of illness, family situations, travesties, you name it. I've been through it in the last couple weeks. So, my last show was March 11th, I believe, and so I've been missing this. It's about time I got back on the microphone, start talking some sports, huh? So what have we missed in the last couple of weeks? Well, missed a lot of the NCAA tournament. We're down to the Final Four. You got Michigan State, Virginia, Auburn, and Texas Tech. For the men's side, the women's side, you got UConn, Notre Dame, Oregon, and Baylor. It was a hell of a run. The hell of a lot of games this year for the men's tournament. A lot of good overtime games, competitive games from the first round all the way through the Elite Eight so far. Very excited for the Final Four matchup. MLB, Major League Baseball, is back. We're now, I think, on about the sixth game for everybody. I'd say the shock so far is that the defending champion Red Sox are starting the season off 1-4. That's very interesting. Like last year, didn't they start off like 9-0 or something like that? So very interesting to see how they rebound, which I think they will. I think they're the best run organization in baseball right now. And like they're second or third in the payroll, so that helps. So we got baseball scores to get to, NHL scores. We're going to give some predictions on the men's and women's Final Four. But first, we start off today with some small talk. Sad news to report. The Alliance of American Football, as of today, has suspended operations. Of course, they're going to point to a funding problem. Too much money paying players, not enough fans in the seats, not enough billionaires backing it. You know, all these excuses, but I'm going to tell you this right now. The reason the AAF, which I think has had 8 weeks down, I think it's been a success, really. I mean, if you watch these games, they're competitive. These players are playing their asses off. You got some stars shining right now, players that I think can play in the NFL who've earned a roster spot. But the problem with the AAF is that they started in February. They started like 3 weeks after the NFL season. Think about it. The NFL season, you got 17 regular season weeks. Then you got 3 weeks in the playoffs. First round, you get the wild card, divisional, championship games, and then you got the Super Bowl held in February. Like February 2nd. So you got 5 months of solid football. And football, the NFL, well, football in general is the most exciting sport in America. Everybody loves it. Hands down, the most popular sport. But there's an old expression, too much of a good thing is a bad thing. Even after 5 months of football, like as fans, we need a break from it. If football was played year-round, if the NFL had its games year-round, there would be a disinterest. There would be a lower attendance, lower viewership. There would be a disinterest in it because it's, okay, we're getting sick and tired of this. It's great to watch. It's fun. Fantasy football, betting, whatever, you name it. It's fun to, heading over to a friend's house Sunday, heading to the bars on Sundays and Saturdays. It's fun. But too much of a good thing is a bad thing. And eventually, as fans, we need a break from it. And the problem with the AAF is they started 3 weeks after the NFL season stopped. I think if the AAF did what the LFL, which, by the way, the LFL Legends Football League, the Ladies of the Gridiron, that starts this Friday. If they did with that, if they started later, then maybe that the fans can get that 2-month break and realize, hey, I miss football. Let's go watch some football. But the problem is you start right after it. They don't want to see a no offense, I love the league, but it's a watered down version of the NFL. They're not going to want to watch that after watching 5, almost 6 months of NFL action. They're going to want something more than that. They want to break from it. So I think it all comes down to timing. You can point to the funding all you want to, but the reason the fans aren't showing up, buying the merchandise, tuning in is because it's wrong timing for it. Started a little bit later. I think the reason that they started it so early is because, well, if there were any breakout stars, they can get a little bit of rest, because I think the last game is held like in the next couple weeks. Was the AAF scheduled championship game was like in the next couple weeks, so like April something. Then you got you got May, June, July, August. So you got like a 3-month period of rest for those players, and then they sign on to the team probably, I'd say, like in August. You know, they're going to be second string, third string, but whatever. They're back in the NFL on a team. They get that rest, but now you got no rest. And I understand starting it later, you eliminate that rest, but I mean, I don't. People just need a break, and the timing of this was just all wrong. I thought it was fun to watch. The games were competitive. There, like I said, breakout stars. There's some players that really showed up. You look at the statistics. Garrett Gilbert, who I thought was the best quarterback in the league, and he proved it. 2,000 yards passing in 8 games. John Wolford, Arizona's quarterback, looked great. He had 14 passing touchdowns. Drew Presley, 431 rush yards. It was pretty much a passing league, which everybody expected, because the league had rules that you couldn't rush more than 5. You couldn't rush more than 5 defenders. Trent Richardson had 11 touchdowns. He had a chance. Rashad Ross, Arizona's wide receiver, 7 touchdowns. I thought he was a breakout player. Garrett Gilbert, Drew Presley, Rashad Ross. I would put those on any team in the NFL. They were the standouts this year. But everybody needs a break from it, and the timing was just poor on it. They needed to wait a little bit, let everybody, miss football for a little bit, close its doors for a little bit, and then reopen them. But they wanted to get the ball rolling right after, thinking the fans would continue to watch it right after the NFL season was done, and you're not going to do that with a watered-down version. So it's sad to see. I expected it to at least make it through the season, but suspending it after 8 games is a really bad look. And then I think the XFL is supposed to start in 2020, so we'll see what that does. But it was just poor timing. You can't start a league, a developmental league, right after the NFL season is over with. There's a reason the football season ends. We can't watch it as much as you love football. As fans, as much as we care about it, you can't continue to watch it for months and months, 5-6 months, and that's it for any sport. It gets just too boring after that. Too repetitive, don't have the energy, don't have the time. You want to see something new. You should have waited a little bit. That was their mistake. Will they relaunch? I don't know. There's going to have to be a couple billionaires backing it. And if you suspend it after 8 games and not even finish the season, I seriously doubt anybody's going to jump on board. So, sad to see, but that is the end, most likely, of the AAF. All right, so let's get that out of the way. NCAA Men's Final Four. Michigan State, Texas Tech, Virginia, and Auburn. Okay. I'll be honest. I'll be the first sports broadcaster, you could say, to be completely honest and say that I didn't have any of these 4 teams in the Final Four. I had Tennessee, Duke, Gonzaga, and UNC. And all 4 of those teams could have easily made it. This was as competitive a tournament as I can remember. So many damn good games. Michigan State can never count out Tom Izzo, and I was totally wrong on them, I'll admit it. I thought in the midway point of the regular season, I thought for sure they didn't look like a Sweet 16 team, let alone a Final Four team. But they passed up everybody. They took out Bradley, Minnesota, LSU, and Duke. And, they did it the Tom Izzo way, just smart basketball, playing their best when they need to play their best. Then you got Texas Tech, knocking out Northern Kentucky, Buffalo, Michigan, and Gonzaga. Texas Tech really, you look at all these 4 teams, I think Texas Tech was probably the most impressive team heading into the Final Four. They completely stomped Northern Kentucky. I thought they'd lose to Buffalo. They proved me wrong. Took out Buffalo, big. Took out Michigan, big. Michigan was a big pick to get to the Final Four. That was a popular one. Defeated Gonzaga, which a lot of people thought would win it all. And so now they're sitting there going up against Michigan State, and it's a toss-up. It really is. On the other side of the bracket, you got Virginia and Auburn. Virginia, slow start against Gardner-Webb, but they won it. Played pretty damn well against Oklahoma. Oregon gave them a challenge, but they proved to be the better team. In the game against Purdue, when the guy puts up a Hail Mary with 0.2 seconds left, goes into overtime, then they get the W. I mean, it's just a hell of an improvement for a team, for a number 1 seed that lost to a 16 seed last year. I mean, they got something to prove. They're the team that's got something to prove in this tournament because everybody wrote them off, even though that they've played a certain boring but successful style. If they get down a lot of points, Virginia's hard. It's hard for them to come back, but they don't. And if it's a close game late, you can expect them to find a way to win. Then you got Auburn. Struggled a little bit in the regular season, came on strong, won the SEC tournament, got through New Mexico State barely, whipped Kansas' ass, beat up on UNC, and squeaked by Kentucky. Problem with Auburn, they're a 5th seed, and I think they're playing with a lot of momentum right now, but the problem is they're banged up. With their star player, I forget his name, has a G in it somewhere. He's out with a torn ACL. They're starting point guard Howard, who's doing well, but he's got back problems and he's the workhorse, so eventually he's going to break down. I'm not liking their chances against Virginia. I'm taking Virginia. I'm taking Michigan State. I think those 2 teams, Texas Tech, can't write them out though. The problem is Tom Izzo has been in this situation so many times, and he thrives in these games. When he gets to a certain point, he's just unstoppable. That train gets rolling, it's unstoppable. So I'm going Virginia versus Michigan State, and I'm taking Virginia. I think that they have something to prove. The mental toughness of Michigan State's there. The problem is Virginia's just got something to prove. Consistently good all year. Finds a way to win. Can beat you inside, outside, defensively. Doesn't matter how they win. They win good, they win ugly. It doesn't matter. They've got something to prove, and that's why I'm taking Virginia right now to get by Auburn, get by Michigan State, and win the championship. All right, women's Final Four. Game starting on Friday. You got Oregon versus Baylor. Again, most of the women's tournaments, the top 2 seeds you expect to win. You never see a 3 seed or a 4 seed in it. It just doesn't happen that way. But the 2 seeds did squeak by. Oregon got past Mississippi State or Stanford, I forget. But they're taking on Baylor. Baylor's been the most consistent team all year, so I'm going to take Baylor in this one. Then you got Notre Dame and UConn, and you know how much I love my Irish, but I don't know. I think UConn getting a 2 seed with Gino Auriemma, I think this is just too much for him. I think somehow UConn wins this game. Notre Dame got it last year. 2 game-winning shots by Akindube or whatever her name is. Who cares? She's awesome. I think UConn squeaks by Notre Dame. I think UConn wins it all. I think they're going to find a way to get Gino Auriemma another championship, like he needs another one. So UConn women win it, and Virginia men win it. That's my predictions for the Final Fours. So, yesterday, NBA action. We're getting about less than 10 games away from the playoffs. So every game for the bottom seeds, except for the West. The West is already decided. The seeding isn't, but the teams have already been in the playoffs. So, but the East is still a little bit competitive. But let's go ahead and run through the scores from yesterday, shall we? Pacers over the Pistons, 111-102. Thaddeus Young, 19 points, 9 rebounds for the Pacers. Andre Drummond had a double-double for the Pistons, 18 points, 17 rebounds. Difference here, field goal percentage. Pacers shooting 54% to the Pistons, 43%. Points in the paint, also big. For the Pacers, they had 52 to Detroit's 34. Celtics over the Heat, 110-105. Kyrie Irving had 25 points, 8 rebounds. Goran Dragic for the Heat, 30 points. 3-point shooting was the real difference here. The Celtics were 17 of 40, and the Heat 10 of 37. The Greek Freak leads the way for the Bucks. The Bucks beat the Nets 131-121. Giannis has 28 points, 11 rebounds. Is he the MVP? Probably. Does he deserve it? I don't know. Between him and James Harden, Paul George, excuse me, before the All-Star break, Paul George I thought was in the running. I thought he was number 2. He's kind of slipped and fell back. He had a lot of 42-point games, which were very impressive, but he's fell backward. So it's Giannis and Harden. Harden should probably get it simply because of what Houston's doing as a team. I mean, if you want to give it to Giannis, I don't have a problem with that. And Giannis is probably going to win it because you know how the NBA feels about giving it to somebody back to back. Just ask Michael Jordan about that. But Giannis, 28 points, 11 rebounds. D'Angelo Russell for the Nets, 28 points, 10 rebounds. Field goal percentage was the key here. The Bucks shot 50%. Fast break points, also big. Bucks had 33 to the Nets 15. The Knicks defeat the Bulls 113-105. Luke Cornett. His first time I've said his name as player of the game. 24 points, 6 rebounds for the Knicks. And Robin Lopez, he's a first-timer as well. 29 points, 7 rebounds for the Bulls. 3-point shooting was key here for the Knicks. They were 18 of 38. Bulls, only 4 of 17. If you're an NBA team, you got to attempt at least 20 threes a game. You can't shoot 4 threes in a game. I mean, they had a lot of good points in the paint, you know, which kept them in it. But you got to shoot at least 20 threes a game if you're in the NBA. You know, you got the best shooters in the world. You know, give them a chance. The Raptors over the Magic, 121-109. The Magic, this is not a good loss for them. They're teetering on the edge here. They're trying to get a playoff spot. There's only 2 teams not eliminated from the playoffs in the East, and they're one of them. Danny Green for the Raptors, 29 points, 5 rebounds. Nikolai Vucevic, 13 and 13. Fuck curses, he says. 3-point percentage. What do I tell you, people? What do I tell you? If you're in basketball, you shoot 50% from downtown, you win 99 times out of 100. They shot 51%, did the Raptors, from three-point land. Guess what? They got the win. Trailblazers over the Timberwolves, 132-122. Enes Kanter making his presence known, 20 points, 11 rebounds. He outshined Karl Anthony Towns, who's a triple-double machine. He had 17 and 12, which is a bad night for him. I think most NBA players would actually take that. Again, 3-point percentage, key stat. You can throw any other stat away when you detail who won the game. Trailblazers shot 50% from downtown. Guess what? They win the game. Throw it away. Got to shoot big from downtown 99 times out of 100. I say it all the time, and I'm going to continue to say it, okay? Mavericks over the 76ers, 122 to 102. First-time name, Salah Majari from the bench for the Mavericks. 16 points, 14 rebounds. That's a nice little double-double. J.J. Redick for the Sixers. Hey, he can still ball. 26 points, 5 rebounds. Field goals were the key here. 46 of 98 were the Mavericks. The 76ers, 36 of 93. And a real quick side note, Dirk Nowitzki, he was contemplating retirement. I love Dirk. You know, he's a Hall of Famer, committed to that team, gave everything he had, but he's talking about contemplating retirement. He's scoring 6.5 a game. He's averaging 6 points a game. Do you, let alone, I mean, forget about the fact that he's won a championship, MVP, Hall of Famer, gave everything he had to this team. I understand that, but would you really want to keep a player? If you're an NBA owner, a coach, president, GM, do you really want to keep a player who's scoring 6.5 a game? I don't care who it is. You don't Dirk, please don't do what Shaq did. Shaq bounced around from team to team. He was essentially a mascot trying to get increased ticket sales. You know, when he went to the Celtics, he was just garbage. When he went to the Cavs, he was just garbage. That's one of the reasons I never blamed LeBron for leaving Cleveland. That's who they brought in to try to help him out. They brought in Ben Wallace and Shaq. Like Ben Wallace when he was way past his prime, and Shaq when he was just, like I said, basically a mascot trying to fill the stands. But Dirk needs to get out. You know, you had a great career. 6.5 a game is just there's no way he can look in the mirror, read those stats, and say, I'm doing the best job I can. If that's the best you can do, then you need to understand that you're not helping your team. So go ahead and hang up the shoes, dude. Sign the jersey away, do what you got to do, but just retire. It's not shameful to retire when you aren't competitive anymore. It happens. It's retirement. It's old age. You're seasoned. You're done. You just hang it up, dude. Jazz over the Hornets, 111 to 102. Rudy Gobert, 18 and 18 for the Jazz. Kemba Walker, 47 points. How frustrating would you be as a baller to score 47 points in a game and lose? Like who's at fault there? Can you really point the finger at him? You know, it's it's just unbelievable to me. 47 points in a game and you lose. He had 28 field goals, so he shot over 50%. I mean, it's not like he was a complete other ball hog like Kobe did at some points, like James Harden is. But 47 points in a game, you still lose. Come on now. Get him on a freaking team. I don't give a damn about league tampering at this point. From what Golden State did is the biggest tampering job that any NBA team could pull off. So somebody, the Spurs, Portland, Sixers, somebody sign this guy. Get him on a great team. Give him a chance to win a championship. He's stuck in Charlotte right now, busting his ass and not getting anything to show for it. Finally, the Suns defeat the Cavs 122 to 113. Another guy who's busting ass and nothing to show for it. Devin Booker, 25 points, 13 assists. That's a nice little double-double. Jordan Clarkson had 20 and 6 for the Cavs. Devin Booker, I mean, again, he had a couple of 30, 40-point performances in a row. Busting ass, clearly the best player on his team, clearly working harder and doing better than everybody else. And you're stuck there on a 19-win team with nowhere to go, no chance of getting anybody to come there. Like, nobody's going to go to Phoenix. They're going to bypass that and go to the Clippers or the Lakers. So you're stuck there. Oh, man. That's just freaking terrible. Fast break points key here. 28 for the Suns. Cavs had 3. That's momentum points. Fast break points are momentum points. You need those. Get the crowd involved. Get the team riled up. Get the fast break points. All right, so that's it with the NBA scores. Let's go to the NBA standings, shall we? As I said earlier, the Western Conference, the seeding is not intact, but we know who's in the playoffs. Golden State, Denver, Portland, Houston, Utah, LA Clippers, San Antonio, and Oklahoma City. Sacramento, LA, Minnesota, New Orleans, Memphis, Dallas, and Phoenix all eliminated. So, most likely I'd say the Clippers are going to get the 6th spot. And depending on what happens with Oklahoma City and San Antonio, if you got the 7th spot, you play Denver. I think they lose. I think whoever gets the 7th spot loses to Denver. But would you rather have that or play Golden State? Thank you. So you're going to watch San Antonio and Oklahoma City try to bust some ass in the next couple weeks, the next couple games to see if they can get that 7th seed. Because you sure as hell don't want to go against Golden State first round. That's just pack your bags already. Eastern Conference, Milwaukee, Toronto, Philadelphia, Boston, and Indiana are sealed. Detroit, Brooklyn, and Miami right now are 6, 7, and 8. And you got Orlando and Charlotte trying to vie for the last spot. Orlando and Charlotte lost yesterday, so they definitely need a rebound win. Right now, Orlando's 38 and 40. And Miami's 38 and 39, so most likely 7 and 8 is going to be losing. Is going to have a losing record. I don't think. I think Miami's going to play for D Wade, and I think they're going to stay in. Brooklyn, I don't see them going out, and Detroit I think it's just good enough. So I think the East is pretty much set. I don't see Orlando or Charlotte doing anything to boost their chances to get into the playoffs. So, and what the hell is who cares about the clinch division? Who cares? So that's the standings of the NBA. Let's go talk about the NHL, shall we? NHL scores from yesterday. Panthers over the Capitals 5-3. Devils over the Rangers 4-2. The Maple Leafs defeat the Islanders 2-1. Lightning over the Senators 5-2. Blues over the Avalanche in a shootout 3-2. Jets in overtime defeat the Blackhawks 4-3. The Golden Knights defeat the Oilers 3-1, and the Flames over the Kings 7-2. MLB scores. Hey, how about this, huh? Yesterday's scores from Major League Baseball. Cardinals defeat the Pirates in 11 innings, 6-5. Indians over the White Sox, 5-3. Yankees over the Tigers, 3-1. Brewers over the Reds, 4-3. Braves shut out the Cubs, 8-0. Orioles over the Blue Jays, 6-5. The Orioles, a lot of people are betting on them. Look out for them. They took two of three over the Yankees, so who knows? Maybe Baltimore could be something this year. Tampa Bay over the Rockies, 7-1. Mets over the Marlins, 7-3. Astros over the Rangers, 2-1. Giants defeat the Dodgers, 4-2. The A's shut out the Red Sox, 7-0. Red Sox right now are 1-4 to start the season. I cannot believe that. Where's the motivation? They'll get it together, though. Trust me on that. Too good, too talented, top to bottom, great organization. They'll get it together. Diamondbacks over the Padres, 10-3. And finally, the Mariners defeat the Angels, 6-3. All right, since the NBA playoffs are pretty much set, Major League Baseball has just started, and there's no more Alliance football, and the tournament games for college basketball is until Friday. There's pretty much not a lot to look forward to tonight, but I did find a nice little gem for you hockey fans. Tonight, the Lightning take on the Canadiens. The Lightning right now, top team in the NHL. They got 60 wins. Come on, load up. Tampa Bay, 60 wins. So they're the top team. Probably going to be the favorite to win the Stanley Cup. Somehow they'll get beat, though. That's usually how it works in hockey. But check out the Lightning versus the Canadiens tonight. That's the game to watch tonight. And that just about does it for Box Score Radio. Remember, guys, these episodes will be posted on YouTube. You can also listen to the show on Podbean. And remember, you can follow the show on Twitter at Box Score Radio. So, thanks for tuning in to Box Score Radio today. I'm your host, Jay Keaton.